Facing it. Why am I on the ground? How'd that happen? Any other questions? Okay, my favorite topic. Training effects of altitude. Low altitude dwellers, training at high altitude. We're going to call them low altitude, that's me, I live at sea level, so. Training at high altitude. My benefit is I get increased red blood cell count when I come here. I get increased capillary density, so if you're someone who lives here, you already have this. And my breathing rate goes up. All right, my breathing mechanism, slow twitch muscle training. So I can breathe faster, longer, because I come up here because I'm, hey, this is great training. And like I said, you guys have teams that come up here and do that, you already have those benefits. Increased cardiorespiratory and arterial efficiency. High altitude dwellers enjoy this benefit at home. Next. Okay, so I have a research thing here, effective hypoxia and exercise on heart rate variability, immune response and orthostatic stress. Basically showing, yeah, you get some benefit out of it, and your heart rate variability will overcome it. Hypoxia with exercise is commonly used to enhance physiological adaptation in athletes. They either come and train here, or they, and here's what people will do, is they'll get those little sleeping bag tent things, and do the hypoxia training that way. That is the worst idea ever. While you're exercising, you get the training effect. When you go to rest at night, you don't have as much oxygen. You're recovering. Why are you limiting your recovery? Don't limit your recovery. That's the whole point of it, heart rate variability. You want to maximize recovery, not minimize recovery. Why would you do that? Go exercise at high altitude, and then go home and sleep at sea level. Okay, so that's where I had to bring that up, because so many people, you see those things on for sale, and are you kidding me? You guys missed the whole point. It's the recovery you want it.
Isn't it for Everest though? If you're going to go climb Everest, then you better do that because you're going to sleep at altitude?
Yeah, why would you do that? Train at altitude. Because at Everest, the part...
I guess because that's what some guy here in town, you guys remember, you read that article about a rad bad dude, Alpenglow, who he's trying to do speed trips to Everest.
The guy is fully stoked.
He's what?
He always says he's stoked.
He's stoked, yes. Adrian or something. And he said he slept in those
It's the
little
hypoxia
things.
that he's stoked on.
But he said so he could get there and be ready to go.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that the evidence is, well, I mean,
Okay.
we're all bright enough people to kind of go, let's see, if you recover slower, why would that be good? Now, there's acclimatization, sure. Sure, okay, I can see that, but don't do that as a, yeah, this is gonna make me better. Yeah, well, most people who are climbing Everest go and stay at Everest for a long period of time to acclimatize. That's the 1 month at base camp, 2 weeks here, then we go to this spot, and then 1 week here, and then we do our mad dash.
Right.
And this is a 6-month trip to go to Everest. This isn't a...
Well, so he's trying to do it in 2 weeks, and he did that. Or he did
And that's what he does.
Well, and there you go.
So
I mean,
he
yeah.
does all of his
Yeah.
acclimating
In the tent.
by
being in
sleeping
the
in the
sleep, yeah.
tent.
Yeah.
But he does his normal training at altitude.
Right, okay.
All that stuff. He's very well trained.
Right.
But his acclimating, so he doesn't
Right.
have to go to altitude and sleep
Right.
there for 4
Right,
months
right.
ahead of the trip, is what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So for him, that's
So
perfect.
that's, yeah, okay.
Right. For us, we wouldn't do that. Unless you're gonna do a 2-week crazy run. I mean, and that's awesome,
Okay.
because he's like, dude, I only have 2 weeks in May.
Right.
I don't have the 3 months before to take off. Like, I gotta work. Maybe that'd allow more, and I probably will allow more people to do that.
And that's his point. That's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
whole
That part of the acclimatization.
angle on his company that he's doing on taking people to Everest.
And that's exactly, it's perfect
It's brand
for him.
new.
The rest of us,
It's his idea of,
Yeah.
Right.
the next level.
and that's perfect. The rest of us should not take that example, however.
Don't
We
do
wanna
it at
recover
home.
that. Don't do this at home. These are trained professionals, folks.
Well, and again, his training is still sleeping with oxygen, sleeping at lower altitude, running high, sleeping low, stuff like that. So I think, his training during the day is still there.
It's a short course, yeah, and it's very focused.
Very,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and that's part of it.
CO2 rebreathers, can you simulate that, or are they not good at simulating that? The math?
Yeah, no. Well, okay, here's the problem with that. We just had that conversation. They want you to force your inhale and not your exhale. And the part of the training that is helpful is the exhalation. So that's why we said the slow, sustained exhale improves heart rate variability.
Learn to breathe.
Short burst, yeah. Hard inspiration raises heart rate. and decreases performance, and decreases heart rate variability, so it undermines you. So those rebreathers are going the wrong way, and you notice when you go to the hospital, they've got it wrong, they're all inspirometers. How hard can you suck to get the little, that's not the part we care about, folks, it's how hard can you push out. Because once you have a full chest of air, you can't then take a hard another suck of air in. You can't do it, you have to get air out. That's the part that, and that's what I mean by that. You have a question.
Yeah, so are the people who live at altitude acclimated, or do they have a disadvantage at night? Are they not recovering as well because we live at less oxygen?
They're acclimated and there's a disadvantage, they're not getting the recovery.
So does that mean then our athletes need more recovery time in general than if they lived at lower elevation?
Exactly. Right, and that's maybe why you want heart rate variability, because you need to know it's going to be a different number up here. But if you guys go on a trip and somebody's only at 25, if you guys come to Washington in our wonderful snow, yeah, you're at 2,500 feet. Your athletes will be like, wow, all right, this is great. What's the difference? Yeah, it's that time to recover. And that's why the acclimatization thing is one thing, that's good training, but separate from that, you want recovery. And the recovery number is what keeps us from getting injured.
So our athletes, ideally, would go into a gamma bag at night and pressurize it.
The hyperbaric chamber idea, exactly, exactly. And that's the whole idea behind that. And of course, you know, the human body is pretty complex and has a lot of mechanisms to make up for stuff, so there's not a tremendous amount that you need to do. However, let's hit the next one. Okay, here, let's go to that. High altitude dwellers training at low altitude. Increased muscle mass and density. Fuller, deeper breathing. In other words, their fast twitch muscle fiber training. The power of their breathing. The benefit, increased muscle strength, mass, power, including in the breathing mechanism. Faster recovery from aerobic exercise. Greater protein absorption, storage, and synthesis. Well, a whole lot of what's going on. How do you build hormones? How do you build testosterone? Protein synthesis. You don't do that as well at altitude. Again, back to these hormones affect our athletes and us and how we live and what's going on. How do we know what that is, especially at 6,200 feet? So again, you can see the importance of it. It's like, wait, there's a benefit to going low. So if those other teams are coming here and doing high altitude training, when are you going down and doing your weight training at low altitude? Maybe we should. Or if you have the opportunity, you should.
So not just to go down to do like, runs, but you're saying weight
But even
training
runs, but
and
weight
also-
training specifically, and runs, because there is a component of what you're doing that's power and strength. The part that's the power and the strength, you have a harder time building muscle at this altitude. You don't get as much energy out of your, and again, this goes back to the fat and proteins. You don't get as much energy out of your food at this altitude. It's hard, you don't have as much oxygen here.
And that could be even as much as 1,000 feet dropping, or?
2,500 feet is usually so 0 to 2,500, and then 2,500 to about 6,500, and then the haste and hate stuff is that they know like 8,200, 8,500, they're like, yeah, we know, we see a sharp increase in that at that altitude. So you can see, it starts going like this.
I was gonna say a good analogy is when we go down and play soccer, say for all-stars or football, we are always so much smaller. All of our children are way much smaller than anybody who's living at lower altitude. And we always say, oh my God, here's your mother beast, big kids, and we're like just training.
But by the end of the game, you have greater capillary density, and so the longer you sustain endurance,
We're way smaller.
right? You can't build muscle at this altitude like you can at sea level.
So small.
And that's why, like, so going back to the guy who does the short course going up to the mountain, the other benefit of him doing the short course is he doesn't lose all the protein. One of the things of going up to Everest, they're eating just high density protein bars, just shoving them in. I'm not hungry, but I have to shove 5 of these in my mouth because I'm only going to get this much energy out of it. And you see these guys, they leave and they're all built up and they come back and they're this big around, right? Because you can't synthesize and utilize protein. You don't get as much energy out of it. It's like burning a fire. It just doesn't burn as well at that height.
So if you slept in your gamma bag every night, would you end up doing a muscle? Because you'd be sleeping at low.
That would help. That would definitely help. No, because your recovery would be better. And at night, your recovery, when you build the muscle in response to your recovery, is getting the training effect of, hey, we did the weightlifting, hey, I'm gonna be in this bag, and we're gonna pump up the pressure. Yeah, that would be a benefit. So we're gonna get this year, we're gonna make it airtight, we're gonna pump this baby up. 3 nights a week, guys, we're all gonna be here. But it's something to take into account and to understand that, hey, if everybody's doing if people come here and do high altitude training, what are we doing low altitude? It might even just be go sleep at a low altitude. It might be go do your weight training, or go do whatever you can, like whatever sport specific thing you can to build that muscle and then sleep down. Okay, next. Okay, so here's a little more on that topic, because this is important for you guys, and this is one of the reasons that I was so excited to do this with you guys. Okay, physiology changes in the short term, as in a competition cycle. Low altitude dweller experiences less pressure on the body, so fluid leaks into body cavities, creating greater pressure in the head, chest, and abdominal cavities. PACE, for those of you guys who aren't mountaineers, high altitude cerebral edema, meaning your head swells, leads to compression of the brain and brainstem, inhibiting thought processes, right? That's why, what was it, 96 when all the guys died on Everest? Because you can't think straight up there. Inhibiting thought processes and control of basic body functions such as breathing, swallowing, heart rate, blood pressure, and levels of consciousness. Sleep, wake, alertness. Okay, so what I'm saying is you guys are acclimatized to this here, so when people come here to compete against you, they have to suffer with this. Yeah, that's a benefit. Good for us. High altitude pulmonary edema leads to asthma-like conditions. Okay, so when you come up to altitude, a low altitude person's going to have lungs that are compressed and can't get oxygen in as well. That's why those teams come up here and do their training. High altitude gastrointestinal edema, and this isn't one you've heard of. You've heard of PACE and HAPE, you haven't heard of age, because nobody talks about it. But it results from an inability to move food sources through the gut and a lack of progression of digestion. You can't break it down and you can't absorb it because there's pressure on your intestinal tract. So a big part of competition is nutrition. And so that's, there's a problem coming up to high altitude. Now you guys live here, so you're acclimatized, it's great.